All right, well, we are at 11 o'clock, so I think we'll go ahead and get started today. A couple of housekeeping notes before we get started. First of all, you've each got the opportunity to turn on your camera and turn on your microphone. I'll ask you to just send questions in via chat during the presentation, and then at the end, I'll invite everybody if they would like to unmute to ask questions audibly if they would like to. You can send chat messages in at any point, and that's in the bottom right-hand corner. It's probably minimized to start with, and you can send it to everyone, or you can select to send it just to me, and I will then, when we get a pause, ask to the presenters question. And also for those of you that, if you don't want to see everyone's picture and you'd just rather see the PowerPoint slides, in the top left-hand corner, you've got a couple choices of how you can adjust your own screen. So that is up to you. All right, well, my name is Joel Schumacher. Some of you that have been participating for a long time probably know that I just took over hosting the series a month ago, and I do work for Montana State University Extension in the Department of Economics and Agricultural Economics. So today, my whole job is just to introduce three people that know something about small businesses. So we've got three folks from the Small Business Administration, one from Billings and two from the Helena office. So we have the Senior Area Manager, which is Martin DeWitt, and he's out of the Billings office, and a Business Opportunity Specialist, which is Kelly Dixon, and she's in the Helena office. And then an Outreach and Marketing Specialist, which is Andy Shirtliff, who's also in the Helena office. And they're going to be our presenters today. And then before I turn it over to them, just a quick thank you to our sponsors, which is the Small Business Development Centers, the Small Business Administration, Montana Department of Commerce, Montana Economic Development Association, Montana State University Extension, Grow Great Falls Economic Development, Big Sky Economic Development, and the University of Montana. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Martin.
Thank you, Joel, and thank you guys for letting us have the opportunity to come in here and visit with everybody about some of the things that SBA has to offer. We've kind of become a household name through the pandemic situation here, and there's also a whole bunch of other services that we normally have that I think a lot of people aren't aware of. And with some of the chaos and things like that that's happening right now, it also creates opportunity for people as well. And some of those opportunities happen in the form of entrepreneurship, business expansion, and the things that SBA covers. So we want to just kind of make sure everybody has a baseline of really what SBA has. And then in the end, we're going to have Andy's going to cover some of the information as it relates to the economic injury disaster loan status and paycheck protection program, and a little bit of what's going on with those extensions of those, the 7A and the EIDL program, and then create an opportunity for hopefully a lot of discussion and question and answers at the end. So get rolling into this thing. So really SBA's mission, the core of it just stands with those four words across the bottom there, is to start, grow, expand, and recover. So if you've got businesses that you've got an entrepreneur that's got an idea and wants to create that business, they want to start that business and make it a reality, we're here to try to help foster that opportunity and give them the best options and abilities to actually go forward and make that vision a reality. They're already in business, and they want to grow into something else and create new opportunities for their business. We want to be able to be there for them for that. They want to expand into international markets and create those opportunities, or go into federal contracting. That's something that we're able to help with. And then the recovery side of things is that's what everybody's been seeing here over the last several months. So that's the core of what SBA is about, and what our mission is that drives us to try to do these things for businesses. So with that, we're going to get right into our resource partner networks, which is one of our 3 C's, is the counseling side of things, as we call it. We have counseling, capital access, and contracting opportunities for folks. So through our resource partner network, we've got over 1,400 partners in offices nationwide. Comes through a variety of different services, and we'll get into those. First one we just kind of want to cover and give some information on is our SCORE chapters. So in Montana, we have 3 different active chapters, and some of them do some extension services in Great Falls community, and then there's some mentors as well in Missoula. We have mentors around the state, but these are really where the chapters are located, the head office for those, and they provide those opportunities throughout the state. So really what SCORE is about is that mentorship opportunity to really have an option for an existing business owner or a new or not developed business owner to have someone to kind of lean on for advice to get that. With our SCORE folks, you know, they range in backstory and expertise, whether they're an accountant, an attorney, former lenders. We've got some folks that were formerly in manufacturing. They create those opportunities for those business owners to really be able to talk to someone that's been through that. And this is a free service for those individuals. So it's not cost prohibitive for folks to access that. They have a lot of online workshops for people to go through. So if it's someone that doesn't, you know, not really comfortable going in and visiting with someone, especially now, they've got a lot of online webinars and things like that are available. And then they've got a business plan template right on their website as well. That's a pretty easy access thing for folks to kind of get started and get some of a template developed, and be able to kind of create that opportunity to get started with that in somewhat of an online presence. And then on that website, you can sign up for that mentorship, where you can say, hey, this is really what I'm worried about setting up my books, and I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. And that's the kind of mentor I'm looking for. And they'll try to pair you, and then which community you're in, and they're going to try to pair you up with someone that can directly address the questions that you have. And then they'll reach out to you through an email, try to set a meeting up so they can visit with you and kind of go through specifically what your questions are and help with some of that advice to point you in a direction to help you be successful. So that's our SCORE chapters. The next one is probably the one that's a lot more well known, is our small business development centers, and those are located across the state, providing, you know, free business consultation. They do a lot of low to no cost trainings and events, helping folks with QuickBooks marketing opportunities. And then currently right now, just what's going on. I know a lot of them are trying to hone in on making sure that businesses create those opportunities to work through this and make sure that they're still being successful as they're starting or growing their business. And we're having the SBA here, we're getting a lot of calls for folks that are still willing to go forward and make sure that businesses are being created, and there's people looking to start businesses right now, and we've been doing a lot of referrals to this portion of our network. So as I said, here's a visual for you to see. We've got a variety of them across the state, and I know we got quite a few of our directors are here on the line with us right now as well. But anywhere you're out in the state, you're covered by an SBDC center, and you can reach out to them. Some of them have social distancing things that are happening right now, and you might not be able to get right in to see them, but they're being more than accommodating to make sure that they can set up meetings with you and reach out and visit with you. Next is our Women's Business Center, as far as counseling side goes as well. So our Montana Women's Business Center here in Montana also offers that confidential business counseling. They do a lot of leadership programs for women, women-owned business certifications, and help get you into that contracting side of things. And these guys have been really stepped up as far as creating a lot of training opportunities for people. right now, and making sure that people are having access to current information as it relates to the pandemic, opportunities that are available currently with the situation. And I know they've got some paycheck protection forgiveness trainings that they're doing virtually and things like that right now. So there's ways that you can sign up and access those, and then get some assistance through their network as well. And it is called Women's Business Center. You do not have to be a woman to get the services, but some of those certification programs and things like that, that's where that will lead. So Lexi Pressler in the state covers everywhere, and she's fairly new, but has a good back structure there with the folks that were there before, and she's been doing a really great job of getting trainings out there for folks right now. So, and then on to our Veteran Business Outreach Center. Dustin Frost is over here in Billings, closer to me. He's housed out of the Big Sky EDA, and creates a lot of opportunities that come forward specifically for veterans, and to help veterans and veteran spouses transition from that active duty military lifestyle into the entrepreneur side of things, and what things are available. Help them get trainings, make sure that that they have the things needed for them. Dustin's a veteran as well, and kind of understands the lifestyle, and that's him and I always end up getting into talking about military experiences and stuff like that, and just a good guy to visit with, and creates that comfort zone, especially for those veterans who kind of live that lifestyle and are looking how to create opportunities for themselves or their families as they transition into the veteran side of things and non-active duty. So a lot of good things that they're doing there at the Veterans Business Outreach Center as well. And I know he's still doing quite a bit of one-on-one counseling, and they're setting up some virtual meetings, and I know he is available with some limited office hours right now as well. So that is our Veteran Business Outreach Center, which kind of gets us through our counseling side of things, which brings me to introduce you all to Kelly Dixon. As Joel said, is our business opportunity specialist in Helena. So Kelly, if you want to take it away.
Hello, I'm Kelly Dixon. I'm located in the Helena office. The SBA works with federal agencies to award at least 23% of all prime government contract dollars each year to small businesses. Federal contracting can represent a profitable market for your business, but it can also be extremely complex. And the SBA can help you evaluate your readiness and provide access to helpful resources for you to determine if that is an avenue you want to go to increase your profits. I think next slide there, Martin.
Gotcha.
We have certification programs that can help you get into government contracting. Basically, the agencies are required to set a certain percent aside for each one of these certification programs. So basically, you can get sole source contracts if you qualify for any of these certifications, or you can compete with other businesses that have the same certification. So it kind of lowers your competition there and gets your foot in the door with the government contracting. Our 8A Business Development Program is a 9-year program, and it's for socially and economically disadvantaged owned businesses. And then we have our Hub Zone, which is our historically underutilized business zone program, which is a location-based certification program. So your principal office and 35% of your employees must live in the Hub Zone, and we do have a map where you can type in your address to see if you qualify for that. We have the Women-Owned Small Business Program, and it has to be owned by a woman and controlled by a woman, and they provide services in underrepresented or substantially underrepresented industry. So you must provide services in those qualified NAICS codes, which is the North American Industry Classification Code. We have the Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business Certification, and you must be owned and controlled by a service disabled veteran who has a service-connected disability that has been determined by the Department of Veteran Affairs or Department of Defense. And You can go to certify.sba.gov and go to Am I Eligible and click the link Find Out, and it will ask you questions, and based on your answers, it will tell you what certifications you might qualify for. And then we have the All Small Mentor Protege Program, which is to develop strong protege firms through mentor-provided business development assistance and to help proteges successfully compete for government contracts. You can get assistance in management and technical assistance, financial assistance, contracting assistance, international trade education, business development assistance, and general or administrative assistance. And you can, it can be with another small business. Your mentor can be another small business, or it could be a large business. And next slide. And there's more than 300 procurement technical assistance centers, or PTACs, across the nation, and they provide local in-person counseling and training services to businesses that want to sell products to the government. And it could be federal, state, or local government that they will assist you with. And they provide services either free or nominal cost. And Montana also has a Native American PTAC that assists Native American businesses, and they are housed by the Native American Development Center located in Billings. Next slide. And there are the locations of PTACs there, and every city in Montana is covered by one of them. And then there's the NADC PTAC offices locations there and what areas they cover.
All right, thank you, Kelly. So we've got our counseling and contracting covered. So we're gonna visit a little bit about access to capital. So obviously that point of hey, I'm ready to start this business and this is what I need. This is the financing that I need to put together. I need to grow this thing, and this is where this is what my need is, and this is where I'm short at. I've saved up this, and I need to access some capital to get into this business and make it operate properly. So again, if you're looking to start, grow, and expand, SBA has approved lenders. We don't really do the direct lending anymore outside of the disaster relief that's like currently available, and then we'll get into some of those other opportunities with that. But that's the only way really that SBA does direct lending. What we do offer is lending programs through our guarantee side of things. We have our micro loans, and we have 7A program as well. And then in addition to that, we have what's called the 504 program. Not real fancy names. They're just simply the number of the bill that was passed that allowed the allocation for those programs to be something real. And that's as fancy as a name as they got when they were putting these together. So we've got a thing called the 7A and the 504 program of really what's available. So the 7A is a guarantee loan program to where you would go into the bank, and the bank makes a determination on applying for a guarantee on your behalf, and on their behalf. So obviously there's a benefit to the lender there of a 75% guarantee from the SBA, where if they're offering financing at $100,000, their risk is only 25% of whatever that loss is. So right out of the gate, their main risk is $25,000 on that $100,000 loan. And so really a thing to think of why a guarantee is in place is a lot of times there's that risk mitigation factor that's there as well. But also kind of it can help create opportunities that wouldn't necessarily be there. Like, I've heard this through the years of people go in and, oh, the bank doesn't like me and they won't loan me money, and I need some help, and this is what's going on. Well, it may just simply be they don't quite fit into the requirements that the bank has, whether it's in their internal bank policies, or it's something that's passed on to them by their insurance, whether they're FDIC insured or some other way through that insurance, has requirements that they have to follow. So when they're loaning out, if you go in and ask for a $100,000 loan and they're not asking for a guarantee on that, they have to follow those rules on that full 100,000, and it ties up their money of that 100,000. When they have the guarantee, those rules are only applicable to that 25% or that 25,000, and the guarantee portion doesn't count against their lending capacity. So it creates opportunities for them to loan more money, create more flexible terms for the borrowers. And really where that can come into play is, in some instances, a bank may be able to do fixed rates for longer terms, stretch out if it's a variable interest rate, they can stretch out the terms that actually varies, and to make it more accommodating for the borrower. So there's definitely some benefit for the borrower when it comes to that. So if they can create an opportunity to have more of a lower fixed rate for you over a longer period of time, it creates a lower debt service. So you have to pay less on a month to month to ensure that your business can cash flow accordingly. So there's a lot of benefit for a guarantee for those businesses to get those on. And then in addition to that, so the 504 program is really, it's a participation program, and it's a pretty exciting deal. It's in the interest rates on that right now, and these are for real estate and some specialized type equipment deals, is really what the 504 is, the core of what it's about. But the interest rates on those right now are in the mid 2%. I think 2.65 is when I heard a couple weeks ago. So the interest rate on a portion of that loan is very, very low. So the structure of it is set up. There's a participation between a bank, a traditional lending institution, and a certified development corporation, or a CDC. We've got 4 CDCs across the state of Montana. We have right in Billings here, we have Big Sky EDA, and they have a satellite office in Helena as well. And then up in Lewistown, there's Dakota Business Lending, who Dakota Business Lending started over in North Dakota and had an opportunity to move over in Montana and increase their footprint a little bit and do what they felt to maybe fill a gap in some of those opportunities in areas in Montana. And then in Great Falls, we have High Plains Financial under Great Falls Development Authority, has the opportunity there. And then out in Missoula, we have Capital Matrix. So there's areas kind of throughout the state of Montana with an office, but all of them can do lending anywhere in the state within that program. So the way it works is that bank comes in with a 50% of a loan. So again, just use the 100,000 for each math. So a bank would come in with $50,000 on that deal, and the CDC would come in with 40% or $40,000 on a $100,000 deal. And then the borrower comes in with 10%, $10,000. Where if you were just to walk in off the street to go get a loan, a lot of times the expectation from the bank is going to be that you bring in 20% down on a deal. So really the 504 program right out of the gate creates an opportunity for that borrower to save some money right up front, keep some of that in their pocket. If they've got it, or if they don't have it, creates a higher ease of access to that capital. And then in addition to that, the bank has their rate, which, you know, might be in theirs are a little bit lower now. They may be in the 5.5 up all the way up to maybe 7% on commercial loans. But then if you take that 2.65 or essentially 2.5% interest rate on the 40%, and you blend those rates together, your overall rate on that deal, you know, might be in the high 4s, like 4.75, low 5% interest rate on a commercial loan deal. And that the CDC portion can be a fixed interest rate for the term of their loan. and they can extend terms out on specific deals up to 25 years. So 20 or 25 years is really what you're looking at on some of those, with a lowered interest rate. So it makes that, again, ease to access to capital, considerably better for the borrower and for those businesses to assist in cash flowing their business to maintain their operations. So that's where we're at. So how can that SBA backed loan help you? There's a whole list of the things that it really can do. So if you're starting that business up, if you're looking for revolving credit, working capital for those expenses, purchasing land, real estate, exporting your product, we're going to get into that just a little bit here in a minute. And a lot of ways that you can do that. Typically, it's easier to say the ways you can't do it than what you can do with SBA opportunities and access to capital. So one of the things you really want to think of is that increasing your chances of securing a loan. So this is really where it can tie back into those counseling opportunities, right? To make sure that you're ready to go in and be prepared when you walk in the door to the lender, and create the highest opportunity for success to access the capital. So that's really where your business plans come in. You're preparing your expense sheets, making sure your financial statements and projections are where they need to be. So utilizing some of those counseling services we visited about in the beginning really tie back into making sure you increase your chances at accessing capital and making sure that you're prepared to get a loan. So a little bit more into our export and international trade. There's a lot of different ways that we assist in that specific side of growth and expansion on a business. You can get counseling, obviously, through all of those centers that we kind of talked about. There's an international trade hotline. We assist those businesses in actually finding international buyers through the STEP program. And the state of Montana just received this last year some additional funds to kind of help create those opportunities and help find buyers internationally, and then to get funding. So we've got some specific loan programs that actually address exporting and international trade for those types of businesses and for those ventures when you're looking at getting into them. Here's just kind of a quick overview slide of what those are. That Export Express loan, something that can be approved within 36 hours, receive up to $500,000 towards that to really be able to get you prepared to actually be able to work with an international contract and make sure that you have the capital need to fulfill orders and things like that. And then if you need working capital, we've got opportunities for that. And if you actually have to expand your business, purchase equipment, you need additional assets to actually fulfill those obligations for your international business. You can receive a loan to do that for up to $5 million. So on to the next thing. So this is where we get into the direct lending that SBA actually does. So disasters or economic injury disaster loan actually existed prior to the pandemic of COVID-19. The program is essentially set up to deal with natural disasters. So if we've got, we just had Hurricane Laura, and I'm not talking about Andy just getting married, but Hurricane Laura just came through, created some disaster situations for business owners and homeowners down in the Gulf Coast area there. We've got another one that's coming in. There's tornadoes that happen. There's excessive snowfall. There's currently a drought disaster declaration in Wyoming where some counties are actually affected by that. So those natural disasters that happen, and it creates a stoppage of business or a reduction in and productivity of those businesses that affect their financial performance. And the program is really set up originally to deal with that. So when we get into the disaster side of a pandemic that we're in right now, that was the best thing that the government had to respond to the needs of businesses in the situation that started back in March here in the United States, creating that loss of income for those businesses. So, so that's our disaster loans and what they can be used for. So this slide is really more specific towards the natural disaster side of things, because it does say machinery and equipment and some things in there that the COVID-19 didn't necessarily knock your building down, and you don't need to buy equipment to clear it out, or you don't need to lease equipment to do a demolition to rebuild your property, things like that. So some of these may not all translate over into COVID funding. So I just want to make sure folks are aware of that. But in normal situations, the SBA is there to help these businesses access funds to actually use those to do these types of activities, and also for homeowners. So even homeowners and renters can utilize this fund to recover from those natural disasters. So with that, I'm going to turn it over into our PPP and EIDL presentation for Andy Shirtliff. So Andy?
Cool. Thanks, Martin. Thank you, everybody. Again, I'm Andy Shirtliff, Outreach and Marketing Specialist for the SBA Montana District Office. I'm based here in Helena. And you've all heard in the news the last 4 to 6 months about the Paycheck Protection Program. It was a program that was stood up in about 7 days, and by the federal government. It's one of the largest economic recovery efforts in the nation's history. We'll jump to the first slide. Again, it's an SBA loan that helps businesses keep their workforce employed during COVID. This is also eligible for anyone that has a 7A loan. It keeps the workers on the payroll, but also too can be used for rent, mortgage, interest, and utilities. Next slide, please. Nationwide, 5.2 million loans were sent out. That's 525. Actually, it's supposed to be a billion. That was a typo on my part, but that's pretty impressive right there. Next slide is for Montana. Roughly 24,000, a little over 24,000 loans. That's 24,000 businesses that received help to the tune of $1.8 billion in money injected into our economy here in Montana. With that, that's all 56. There were businesses in all 56 counties that accepted PPP, but also to the unsung heroes were our lenders, the folks from our banks and our small banks, community banks. Our lenders that helped our businesses apply for those loans worked around the clock 7 days a week. We heard many stories of businesses that received phone calls or text messages from their banker at about 11 o'clock at night on a Sunday saying, don't forget to put your paperwork in. Here's how you submit it. And then they got their money in their bank around 3 days later. So that leads into PPP forgiveness, or Paycheck Protection Program forgiveness. The rules are changing daily. We're hearing different things, and there hasn't been anything just set yet. So keep in touch with those lenders that you got your PPP through to talk to them about forgiveness. Next slide. And of course, economic injury disaster loans. You might have heard of EIDL, which is what you see here, economic injury disaster loans. There was the advance, which was $10,000 for folks applying for the EIDL loan. Next slide. It was economic relief, kind of temporary loss of revenue. It does not have to be paid. Pre-approval was not required for the advance. Next slide. And you can see here, nearly 16,000 businesses. This is as of July, but I know this is improved since then, or increased since then. That's nearly $50 million of additional income to the $1.8 billion the federal government pumped into Montana Next slide. One of our success stories, one of my jobs when I first started with the SBA was to talk to businesses that received SBA funding, PPP, EIDL. We talked to businesses across the state, as small as Baynesville, Montana, and as big as Billings. And one of them, of which is Black Eagle Brewing in Great Falls. It's owned by Crystal Lipscomb. Her family's been in the bar and restaurant business for nearly 50 years, and she didn't just want to follow in those footsteps. She kind of wanted to blaze her own trail and make craft beer that wouldn't just be served in their tap room, but we served in bars, restaurants, and shelves all across the state. And in 2015, Krista did just that. And with the help of her husband, her brothers, Krista opened Black Eagle Brewing in Great Falls, Montana, just on the other side of the river. However, due to COVID, and other establishments closing their doors, no longer needing beer because their doors were closed and patrons weren't going in, Black Eagle's keg sales kind of slowed to a halt. The retail sales kind of helped a little bit, but it wasn't enough, and Krista was forced to let an employer or two go. But with the help of her lender, Krista was able to receive some EIDL loan funding. She said, thanks to her local bank, we were able to fill it out immediately. In addition of the PPP program, she's bought her 2.5 months of payroll to operate. EIDL gave Krista the funds necessary to help pay the mortgage, utility bills, buy supplies, restock her inventory, allowing Krista 3 whole months to make her way through until the fall. And she said everything is slow, but because of the funding, the SBA funding has kept our doors open. So this is one of 25 or near 24,000 stories across the state. So with that, that is my presentation.
Thanks, Andy. So, Joel, I assume you maybe have a few in the chat there, or if you want to do the open mic session there, if we want to get to maybe some of the chat ones first, and then we can open the mic.
Yeah, first of all, thank you all for getting us started there with that. And yeah, you're welcome to continue to submit questions through the chat window, or you can actually unmute and ask a question as well. I'll kick it off with one question that came in was, how do you recommend folks make an initial contact with SBA if they think some of your programs might be beneficial?
This slide right here. Reach out to any one of us, you know, and we can try to help you through that stuff. I know myself, I've got I guess 16 years in economic development stuff here. Been with SBA for little over 1.5 years now, I guess. And but background in that, just reach out to us and say, hey, you know, tell us your story. And then kind of our hope is to point you in the right direction to maybe one of those resource partners, or maybe you're farther along than that. But even the resource partners, a lot of times just having that second set of eyes on stuff. But if you want to talk to SBA, reach out to any one of us. I'm kind of the do everything, but not a whole lot in detail guy, right? Kelly specialty really is in that contracting side of things, and Andy's got a variety of network across the state from his background as well, and he'll help point you in the right direction as well. So reach out to any one of us. Feel free to call me. That's my work cell phone. So I don't really have an office anyway. So this whole working from home thing is not that bad of a deal, I guess, for me. So yeah, 406-459-5347. Give me a call. And if I don't answer, it's because I'm on one of the several calls a day that I'm on, or doing one of these type things here is already helping someone out. So just leave a message, and I've been calling people back usually within a couple hours. Sometimes it might take 24, but usually within 24 hours I'll get back to you. So just call us.
All right, thanks, Martin. This is a question I just had. Do all the banks in Montana partner with SBA, or are there some banks that have chosen not to participate in SBA programs?
So it's, you know, it's up to the bank. So every bank, even prior to COVID, is in Montana. All of our local banks were eligible to do 7A lending. So we had 100% participation of them signed up. It's not to say that they were active in that, but they were eligible to do that. So, and you really, you know, when a bank gets those deals in, sometimes it's just they feel comfortable enough and it fits within their box to do it in-house, and they don't have to reach out to us, right? But sometimes they want to, and you know, when you see something like what's happening right now happen, guarantees sound a whole lot better to a lender when they're making loans right now. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for that going forward as businesses are even still in that recovery side of things. But like I said, we've got a lot of calls of those startup businesses that are still trying to move forward, and people that are expanding. And we've had some businesses we've talked to that some of these last couple months are the best months they've ever had, and they've been in business for 30 years. So just kind of depending on what their market is and how they adjusted to it. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for those services and to access them. And I think there's going to be an increase of interest from the lenders for those programs as well. So.
All right, thanks, Martin. And if for those of you that didn't have your chat window maximized, you might want to do that. There's a couple website resources that Andy and Jason have posted for some additional resources that might be of use. I'll go ahead and pause here. If anyone wants to unmute and ask a question, this would be a great time.
We couldn't have done that well to get no questions.
I was told by someone I'm in meetings with a lot that the appropriate time to pause is 8 seconds. So I don't know if I was counting, but if you do have a question, feel free to jump in. Let me ask one more question. Since I do work in an ag economics department, I tend to interact with a lot of ag businesses. Are there, Montana obviously has a lot of ag background businesses, whether it's on the production side or on some type of processing. Are there any restrictions with SBA programs on what type of business you can interact with?
So we can. So with our 7A, there is an option to utilize the guarantee program for some of those ag deals. However, FSA has a better guarantee. They provide a 90% guarantee on those ag deals, right? So, you know, we've got a guarantee program that can help them out, but it's going to be a better deal for them on FSA, and we want to be able to have that. But if there's something that maybe comes up, you know, I think FSA has a smaller limit on theirs, where ours you can go up to 5 million. So if you've got a bigger deal type thing that we can come in and create that opportunity for a guarantee up to that 5 million limit, we can look into those. So yeah, ag stuff is not excluded in the production side, or, you know, and especially when you get into that value added side, right? Because that's its own standalone business a lot of times. That's separate from the production, and a lot of times that's sometimes a better fit SBA than some of the other ones. So yeah.
All right, thank you. Yeah, that's actually helpful to me. I worked a lot with FSA over the years, but comparing SBA and FSA programs, it's not something I've done before. Other questions from anyone, or other comments that the presenters wanted to share?
Joel, this is Jason. If I could, just kind of in addition to your question, Martin talked about the lending programs on the counseling side of things. There's no restrictions on small business development centers, women's business centers, on the industry sectors that we can work with. So we work with a lot of, you know, on the SBDC side of things, food processors. Not producers as much as processors. But I'd also point out the Food and Ag Development Center program is an affiliated program with many of the SBDCs kind of co-housed in economic development organizations. Those folks are a little bit more strategically placed to work with ag processors and producers.
Great point, Jason.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for adding that. Other questions or comments? All right, well, let me give the speakers one more chance here. Are there any final comments you wanted to share with folks? Some burning message you want to leave with them about working with SBA?
You know, I think really is with just current situation here is, like I said, I think that there's going to be a lot of opportunity for our counselors going forward. I mean, those guys are all working their tail off. I know they are, and I know I keep adding to it because I'm getting a ton of calls every single day, and I feel like I'm referring someone to one of our counselors somewhere in the state every single day. And I know they're super busy, but I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for people moving forward through this, and it's going to create opportunities for counseling. It's going to create opportunities for lending, and then, you know, as things open up and what we're doing, contracting and some of those needs, some businesses may fail, but that creates an opportunity for someone to step up and fill that gap. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities. And then in regards to the current Paycheck Protection Program, you know, one thing Andy said is really, you know, visit with your lender. I don't think we can say that enough. And I know a lot of lenders are telling folks to just hold off, mostly because of the rumor or potential that Congress may be addressing something as far as like a blanket forgiveness potential. And we don't know if that's going to actually happen, but they're just saying hold off because there may be a simpler solution to some of those forgiveness type things moving forward. So hold your breath, but that doesn't mean don't talk to your lender because there's going to be a blanket thing, but it means visit with your lender, just say, hey, just checking in, want to make sure we're good. Do we need to move forward or anything like that? So utilize those lenders, utilize those counselors that are out there and helping people there. Everyone's here to help. So we're all in it together. We'll get through it together.
Also, too, yes, they are SBA programs and products. However, our resource partners, you know, like Jason up at the SBDC in Great Falls, our mentors, our lenders. It's, you know, from our Women's Business Center to our Veterans Business Outreach Center in Billings. This is a statewide team effort, and we couldn't do it without our resource partners out there. So we want to extend our thanks to them and our lenders who've been our partners out there through this COVID crisis.
Amen.
All right, thanks, Andy and Martin. And Kelly, did you have any final comments you wanted to share? I think you're still on mute, Kelly.
Okay, sorry about that. If you visit our website, which is sba.gov/Montana, there's a link to our resource guide, and which explains all of our programs in more detail also, and a list of lenders that currently participate with SBA. And we always suggest that you start with a lender that you have a relationship with first. And we also, on our website, there's a lot of free training that you can take online at your convenience for contracting, for lending, for business plans, all kinds of stuff. And I really want to thank all our resource partners too for helping us.
All right, thanks, Kelly. In the chat window, I posted the webpage. We did record today's session, and we'll also have a PDF version of the slides that we will post there as well. So we've put that there, and that's also where we'll put updates on the upcoming webinars. Our next monthly webinar in this series will be on October 1st. and watch our website or watch for kind of our normal marketing for the topic and speaker that we'll put on that as well. So with that, I want to thank our speakers again today, and thank you all for joining us, and mark your calendars for October 1st, and we'll have another edition of our monthly webinar. With that, everyone have a great day.
You as well. Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.